Hey friends, welcome back to Beards and Bitcoins. It's a crypto podcast for the man's man, and yes, the ladies that love them. I am joined today, as always, with my bearded and beautiful co-host, BitBoy. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good, doing fantastic. 2020 is off to a roaring start.
Oh, what a great roaring 20s beginning. It's been a great start for the podcast. Last week we had Antop. This week we are very excited to bring you the episode with Peter McCormack. In case you didn't know, he is the host of What Bitcoin Did podcast, as well as Defiance. Super exciting episode. We got to talk to him a lot. If your children are in the room, put headphones in because it gets a little NSFW.
Why would you want to put headphones on your children's ears so they hear the F word louder? You're sick. You're sick, Justin.
Maybe I said that backwards. Or, put on their favorite cartoon show, whatever. Anyway.
They're listening to Kids Bop. I don't know.
Kids Bop.
That's a great meme. Hopefully some people catch. I don't know if people know that, but it's a really funny. If you want to watch a video that's going to make you laugh very hard, look up. They're listening to Kids Bop. And you will find one of the funniest video in the history of the internet. Just happened a few months ago.
I will absolutely do that, and I look forward to getting some laughs. But on with the podcast. So this is week 2. Today is January 7th at the time of recording, which means we've started the second week of the new year. One of the things I know you're doing with this new year, new you, because I can see it, you're looking beautiful, is you're going keto. You're doing it.
Going keto. Absolutely. Definitely doing that. I think that it's a great way to lose weight. I'm overweight right now. I want to get back into good shape. A lot of people, I think they look at me and they think that I'm some kind of lazy fat guy who doesn't work out, but I actually did CrossFit for several years. I played sports my whole life, including like as an adult and stuff like that. I'm just a little out of shape right now. So I'm going, I know that I said earlier on an episode last year that I was going to run a marathon. And I still am definitely going to do that. The end of the year, the holidays were kind of rough, but definitely doing keto, trying to get back in shape. Hopefully by the end of this year, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. So we'll see.
And by marathon, by running a marathon, you don't mean just like binging a couple series on Netflix, right?
No, like literally running a marathon. I've ran one before, and I would like to run another one. So
awesome.
Yeah. Got a lot of hidden talents and a lot of things I've done in my life people don't know I've done.
You're like the man of all trades and mystery. He's done a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. I have done a lot. One thing I've done is I invested in XRP in 2017. I do not currently have any right now, but it's actually going to be our token time token today for our new segment. We're going to be talking about XRP at the end of the video, but or not at the end of the video, in a few minutes here. But I want to know from you before we get there, before we talk about current events, which is also a very interesting discussion today. What are you doing for your resolution in 2020?
Well, I think it's along the same lines. I wanted to make myself healthier physically, mentally. I want to add a few revenue streams to my portfolio. So my goal is to just make myself a better version. I want to be a better Justin in 2020 than I was in 2019. Pure and simple. I just want to be better than I was. I want this to be my best year yet. And then, when I get to 2021, I want to be a better Justin in 2021 than I was in 2020. I want to always be improving every year.
That's a great strategy. But honestly, I feel like another great strategy is like, let's be the best us we can be this year. And then next year we can chill, because we did so good this year. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. It's like, I don't know if you've seen this, the show on Netflix. It's called The Good Place.
I have not, but I'm very familiar with what it is.
Okay. It's kind of like that, that whole thing about, how you, with the realization of getting yourself into heaven versus hell, are you going to be a good person because you want the moral karma, you want the, what's it called, moral dessert? Or are you going to do it just because it's a good thing to do? So the goal is just to be a better person, and maybe in 2021 we eat that dessert.
Yeah, we eat the dessert in 2021 because in 2020 we're not eating dessert. I like that.
Okay, that's the plan.
For people that are like that have decided they want to lose weight and they are going the direction of keto, like something I would suggest that I really, well, first of all, Parmesan crisps are incredibly good, zero carbs. But the Atkins diet people, they make like some little desserts, like little like Reese's cups and all kinds of stuff that's keto friendly, little caramel squares. So if you got a sweet tooth, because I definitely do, then that's definitely a good way to satisfy that or the sweet tooth. But also, they make the little protein meal replacement shakes. I don't drink them as replacement shakes. I'll just take a couple swigs every couple hours if I'm feeling like I need something sweet.
There you go. That's the way to do it. And this way you're not overindulging.
Yeah. So I'm going keto for the entire year.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. I'm sure I'm still nursing some injuries from my crash, so I can't work out quite yet. I need to start the cardio pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So I will be working out. I'm going to get myself a brand new pair of tennis shoes today. I do know that. And so that I can start working out, because it's been a couple weeks of just kind of laying low. I know I'm putting on a few pounds. I'm actually down in this last week because finally, I wanted to talk about this last week, but we didn't. I give props to anyone that's ever beaten opiate addiction, because I was on it for 2 weeks. I was on these pills for 2 weeks, and I was already starting to notice that I was becoming dependent on it. So had to cut the cord on that. So props to anybody that's ever cut that addiction, because like I said, 2 weeks is nothing. That's like baby. And if you're in harder stuff,
that's how it starts for people, for sure. It's interesting with addiction. They say that, opiates is the only way that people who've never done drugs in their life get addicted in older age. Like almost every person who's addicted to drugs has been addicted since they were a teenager. Almost every single one. Or it maybe not early 20s, at the very oldest. But the interesting thing about opiate addictions, and I used to run an addiction place, so I know a little bit about this stuff, is the only place where you're seeing senior abuse, and it's first time abuse. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's
first
crazy.
Time. Yeah, guys, they hurt their back. They're 40, 50, 60 years old, even 70 years old. They go in, they get the opiates, and all of a sudden they're addicted, just like they have been doing it their whole lives. And it's the only, instance where massive amounts of elderly people are actually getting addicted that have never done drugs.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well.
So, but speaking of getting down.
That's right.
One thing we're down with is the Monarch Wallet and Manscaped, the sponsors of the show. Isn't that right, Justin?
That's absolutely true. So we do have to thank our sponsors because the show is brought to you in part by Monarch Wallet and Manscaped. And we know the team at Manscaped is working hard to bring you the one app to access all of the best crypto services right there in the palm of your hand.
That's right. You can buy, store, spend, earn, and swap Bitcoin and most ERC20 tokens, among a ton of other features.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's super cool. It is a super cool app. For more information, check out monarchwallet.com. You can also go to monarchtoken.io to learn more about them.
That's right. And additional support for Beards and Bitcoins comes from Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-belt grooming.
You heard that right. Fellas, listen up. You need to take care of the hair down there. This is 2020. It's a new year. It's a new you. Check out manscaped.com today. Get more information. They've got this thing. It's called the Lawnmower 2.0. We're actually going to be doing, I think, a video on it. Maybe we won't.
A live demo.
Live demo. There may be some blurred out stuff, but just so you know, this trimmer is not going to nick or snag your nuts, which means manscaping accidents, finally, gentlemen, is a thing of the past. So trust us, your balls and that special person in your life are going to thank you.
That's right. Make sure you head on over to manscaped.com and use promo code BEARDS for 20% off and free shipping. That's manscaped.com, code BEARDS. So,
token time.
Right.
Oh, I need one of those, like those rap. Yeah.
Oh, there's a really popular TikTok video of a guy who uses something called a talk box. Have you heard of those?
Oh, so it sounds like you're Peter Frampton.
Something like that. It's actually a tube you put in your mouth.
Yeah. That's like what Peter Frampton did back in the.
Must be.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's just a crazy thing. Maybe that's what we need to get you, a talk box.
I'll just attach it to my mic. Yep.
Token time.
Gonna get a talk box. Yeah, token time. Token time today. Let's talk about XRP only because big pump the other day. Yesterday, the day before we recorded this show, I think it was like a 12% pump.
Wow.
Do you have any information for the listeners as to why that happened?
Yeah, so just like with every single pump ever, like people see the pump and then they try to figure out why afterwards. Is it actually a cause and effect relationship? It's really hard to say for 100%, but people are always going to find a reason. So after the pump, the reason now that we're getting is that Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, actually announced that they would be beginning XRP trading pairs for their futures contracts on their futures platform.
Futures on the XRP.
That's right. Now, our guest we have a little bit later today, Peter McCormack, as I call him, he probably is not happy we're talking about XRP the same day he's coming on the show. What do you think?
No, because he did scoff at one point. I did mention XRP, and I got a oof.
Yeah.
But it's okay because we're trying to stay relevant and current with what's going on. So if there was a different token or coin that had a nice little pump before we recorded this, then it's your time to shine, baby. But in all due fairness, XRP did. And so we're going to go through a couple quick stats really quick. Current, right now at the time of recording, it's about 21 cents. You got about a $9.1 billion market cap. The market cap dominance is almost 4.5%, with a trading volume, 24-hour trading volume of 2.2 billion. Whew.
Yeah. So
with a B.
Another stat that people may not know is that I was doing some research for a YouTube video on my YouTube analytics and stats. And I use something called vidIQ for my videos, and it tracks stats on all keywords. Interestingly enough, XRP gets almost exactly the same amount of YouTube searches per month that Bitcoin gets. What do you think about that?
I think that's interesting. I think that, they've done a great job of marketing. When I say marketing to the masses, I don't want to be misconstrued that, that they're out there pushing XRP and all this stuff. But the XRP army is very loyal. Yeah. They are devoted to the community. So kudos to them. It's not my investment of choice, but it's not my business to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't invest in. So to those people, if you go on CoinGecko.com right now and look at XRP, they have one of the little sections like, how do you feel about XRP today? Right now, 83% have the thumbs up. So wow. Again, it's a loyal fan base. It's a community that really rallies behind that project. So good for them.
Good for them. Good for them. Yeah, it's definitely, a controversial topic in crypto. And I think you and I have both made our personal thoughts about XRP pretty clear several times on the show. It's not our investment, but if you are in crypto and you are ignoring XRP, that in my opinion is a huge mistake, because people want to know what's going on with it. And if you have a bad opinion of it, or you don't think it's going to do well, then, you should speak up and say that. So, people get a more balanced view on things. But
absolutely. So Brad Garlinghouse or Tiff Hayden, if you're listening, come on the show. Let's talk about it.
We want Tiff on the show. So, but she says she won't come on.
So
if you want Tiff Hayden on this podcast, make sure to tag her.
Please.
Yeah, we want to talk.
And thank you.
And thank you. So I guess it's time we move on to our other segment of the show.
News break.
That was great, dude. I love
that. I did my what's that called? Where you do the echo? Man, there's like a guitar pedal, a delay.
Oh,
I did the delay there.
I was impressed. Well, here is the top news story going on in crypto right now.
Wah, wah, wah.
That was it.
That's it. There's no news. That's the thing. There's no news going on right now. There's crazy. Nothing.
As a person who reports on crypto news, and I've actually had to slow down my news videos lately because there is nothing going on in crypto. Like, people are digging around, finding old news, finding old stats, trying to bring stuff up. But right now, there's just not a lot going on, and it's very concerning.
Yeah, concerning on a couple levels. One, if you're trying to change the way that people conduct business or transact with currencies, the fact that there's no major news going on, the fact that things have been, I mean, yeah, Bitcoin went up, a couple $100 in the last week or so. Yeah, whippy, yippee. Talk to us at 10K. Then we'll have some news for you, because then hopefully we'll be moving up. But it's just been so sideways. I wouldn't consider this a bear market. I would definitely not consider it a bull market. But this sideways business is really. I know a lot of people on crypto Twitter. It's boring. A lot of people have left.
Yeah, I would say the sideways action causes as much or more capitulation than the super downwards action.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are more people talking about NFL football playoffs. I'm seeing a lot of foodie posts. I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I'm posting pictures of me with a massager on my back. I mean, for God's sakes, come on.
What was that? You look like Cobra Commander.
Oh,
or Destro.
Oh,
Destro from G.I. Joe.
Dude, this thing is like, this is a super cool. It's like a shiatsu massager. Yeah, can't speak there. But like, you put like your hands in like these things, so you can like put the right tension in the right spot. Ooh,
that's what she said. She likes that too.
Yes, that is.
She loves that. So, but hate to disappoint you guys with Newsbreak today by there not being any crypto news stories. But one thing that I've learned in content creation is that sometimes if you can't find a story, the story is that there's no story.
That there's no story.
Yeah. So
it'll find you. If you can't find it, it'll find you.
Let us know. Drop a comment in the video if you're watching online. If you're listening, drop a comment on your favorite platform or, on our Twitter account. Let us know. What do you guys think is going on right now? Because it's super boring.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess with token time and news break out of the way, there's only one thing left to do.
That's right. Here is our interview with Peter McCormack. Hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, guys, we are joined with Peter McCormack, the host of What Bitcoin Did and Defiance, coming from Bedford, England. The man, the myth, the legend. Well, you're no myth, actually. You are real. Peter McCormack. What's up, buddy?
I'm no legend either. But yeah, I'm good, man. How are you? It's great to finally talk to you guys on this show because I have a beard and I have Bitcoin.
It's true.
Finally got on.
2 for 2. We like
2
that.
2 for 2. Yeah, I like that, man.
Well, we're definitely glad to have you on the show for sure. We've been trying to get you on for a while, and then we all got crazy schedules. So
yeah,
but
we did it.
We made it happen.
We did it. We are here.
It's that new year, new us. We're making things happen.
Yeah, we're rocking, we're rolling. Diary's filling up.
Bitcoin's pumping, right?
Bitcoin's pumping. Yeah.
Good for everybody.
It does.
Yeah, let's talk about Bitcoin for just a minute. I'm very interested to hear. Obviously, the name of your podcast is What Bitcoin Did, and you are a Bitcoin maximalist, I believe. Yeah. Would you? I said the same thing to Andreas Antonopoulos. He was like, "No, I'm definitely not." Well, do you consider yourself a maximalist? Everything you talk about on your podcast pretty much is Bitcoin.
So the show's Bitcoin only now, and it will occasionally touch on altcoins if I think there's some good advice to keep people away from them if it's like a bad investment, but there won't be anything that promotes other coins. I think I've considered myself a Bitcoin maximalist sometimes, but it's a term that's used pejorative. Is that term pejoratively now?
I think it is.
It's used as a criticism, and I'm a bit like, oh, do I really want to do that? And my view is like, I really want to focus on Bitcoin. That's the one where I'm most confident will be here in another 10 years. And like everything else is a distraction. And even the arguments and battles over, whether things are scams and they're not is a distraction. I've got in that myself. But I mean, look, I'll be the first to say if someone comes along and they've created another blockchain-based thing and it works and people are using it and go, yeah, great. Okay, you did it. What is it? That's kind of interesting. But I've kind of got this feeling that, I've spoken to a lot of people, and I haven't just spoken to Bitcoin maximalists. I've spoken to, people running altcoin projects, running token projects. I've spoken to all different types of people, and whilst I'm not the most technical and I can't give you a technical reason, why none of this is going to work. I've just got a feeling that Bitcoin's going to be the one here in 10 years, and most of other stuff probably won't be. Therefore, there's a problem with it.
When you say here in 10 years, do you see it? And this is the way that I'm looking at it, is that, and I know a lot of people do that. It's going to be the digital gold. This is going to be the store of value. It's not going to be transactional. It's not going to be a currency. It's just going to be a way to store value digitally. That's how I think.
Do you know what? It's funny. So Mr. Hoddle said something recently online. I posted something up from when I was in El Salvador, and he said, I've always said that Bitcoin has a different meaning or different use depending on who you are. And I'm kind of coming to that conclusion now. I think there are multiple uses for Bitcoin. It depends who you are and depends where in the world you are. I think for some people it's a store of value, digital gold, which is great, makes sense. But I also think some people will use it to transact, because I do. I think some people will use it for remittance. I think there's got a whole bunch of use cases. And I think you can, if you find a use for it that suits you, then cool. Whatever that is, that's cool.
I like that. Whatever floats your boat, baby.
Yeah. Whatever floats your Bitcoin.
I think that's good. I think that I can see that perspective. You could say the same thing about gold also, right? Like throughout history, there's been different times where gold has been used to hedge assets and to be, its own thing. But then also, like, people actually still transact with gold, at different places at different times. You can, if I say, hey, Peter, I've got, something I want to sell to you, and you say, hey, I'll give you a gold bar for it. Like, hey, I would take it. But most of the time, people are using it as an investment. Does that make sense? Yeah,
well, I mean, it's funny timing you should say that. I just did a show today that came out with Parker Lewis talking about what is money. And one of the big problems we've got, a couple of big problems, is that you can't send it over the internet. So it has a centralization problem. And it's, if you have a gold bar, but actually it's only half the gold bar I need, like cutting that gold bar in half is a pain. So divisibility is a problem. So what Bitcoin does, it essentially has all the properties of gold, but also you can send it over the internet, and you can it's divisible down to, like 100 million units per Bitcoin. And that's kind of cool. And actually, he also said a really interesting thing to me. He said, what a lot of people, their problem with between gold and Bitcoin is, like, they psychologically can't get over the fact that this one is a lump of thing and this one is like ones and zeros.
It's tangible.
It's tangible. But he said, if you could separate them both, say you can't touch, smell, feel either of them, here are their properties, okay? And you listed out their properties, but this one has every property of that, but you can send it over the internet, and you can do it to, whatever it is, 8 decimal places. Which one are you going to want? It's like, well, clearly you want this one. So basically, Bitcoin's king.
Bitcoin is the king.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that, in my opinion, Bitcoin blows gold away in every possible imaginable way. And I think that, where we're at now is it's hard for people to wrap their minds around the zeros and the ones in the truly digital form, because even though, like, really credit cards and debit cards, it's digital money. The way you transact is all digital, but yet you have a little bitty physical card in your hand. And I think right now we're really making that transition. When you see people in China that only use their phones for stuff, as crazy as it is to think, in the United States and, in Europe and other places, we're not nearly as dependent on our phone as they are in Asia. They're using it more and more. And I think the phone is kind of that bridge to get us from, where we're actually using physical pieces of silver or, plastic cards, whatever it might be, to transact. That's the bridge between that and then totally digital money. Because if you really look at science fiction movies, like, I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Science fiction movies always predict the future. Like, everything that we put in science fiction movies is things that people can imagine in their mind. And if people can imagine it in their mind, then there's probably a way that we can actually make that happen. If you look at science fiction,
really quick, not crypto related, but one of my favorite movie forecasts of the future was on Back to the Future when the Cubs won the World Series. God, that was great for me.
I just want the hoverboard.
Yeah, come on. Peter doesn't know about American sports, okay? Let's just go ahead and
Yes, I do. I do.
He likes soccer. Soccer's his favorite
sport.
No,
I know about American sports. I do. I've got a team in each sport.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Who's your team in the NFL?
49ers.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
So when I first started to watch football, it was Jerry Young.
Love that.
Jerry Rice, sorry, Steve Young. Joe
Oh yeah,
Montana. Like that was my and they were on. I was like, I like them, so I kind of stuck with them. They sucked since. I saw them play in London with Kaepernick, which was cool. And my college team is Texas Tech.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we go.
And again, because the first game I ever watched was the one where Crabtree, I don't even remember, like in the last second.
Oh yeah.
It was against Texas. It was Texas Tech v Texas. It's like 49-47 or 47-45. Some stupid score. And he took it. The guy he should have tackled him took it and run it in. So on the I say on the ice hockey, I'm probably go with the Rangers just because I go and watch them every time I'm in New York. Is that correct? Have I got this?
Yeah.
This is where I sound like an idiot if I get things wrong.
No.
Dodgers are my baseball team because I used to watch them when I was in LA, and I went to a playoff game where Justin Turner hit a walk-off home run.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Okay,
yeah.
I was like, well, that's my team. And then I've always liked the Boston Celtics. I think it's because I'm half Irish.
Okay. When you're from England, you can actually pick any team from across the country in the United States.
You can.
Yeah.
I've probably somebody else will probably go, what the fuck? You can't support that and that. You can't be New York and Boston.
You can if you're not from here. So I'm pretty much Atlanta all the way. I am a Lakers fan outside of that. But okay, Falcons. Well, your respect on the show has gone up tremendously since you talked about sports. If you don't like sports, you're a nerd. So we respect that.
So you're a Falcons fan?
I am a Falcons fan. Yeah. I am a Falcons fan. Well, we all know what we're famous for, so.
Joking.
Yeah, I was at the Super Bowl. I was at the game, the 28-3 Super Bowl, so. Totally miserable. I'm diehard. I'm like the one diehard Falcons fan in the world. But anyways, back to what I was saying before we talk sports, because we love talking sports here on the show, though. But in science fiction movies, like everything in the future is digital. So why would money not be completely digital? And that's where we're going. And like I said, using phones to transact is, a medium, a bridge to get us to that place. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next 50 years. There's recently a report put out, I don't know if you saw it, by Deutsche Bank. They said that they believe cryptocurrencies will be completely adopted by 2030. Did you see that?
What? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
10 years, huh?
Yeah, it was an analyst with Deutsche Bank. So, I mean, it wasn't like he's their official analyst, but the report was put out under his analytics company, not necessarily Deutsche Bank. But he's the guy who's helping them make analytical decisions. And he said, yeah, by 2030, cryptocurrencies will totally take over. He said that the only thing holding back cryptocurrencies right now is just they're so hard to use. And, I mean, we see that with everything. When do you think Bitcoin is going to be easy for a no-coiner or whatever you want to call them, for people that aren't into cryptocurrency, where someone says, hey, I want to do a transaction with Bitcoin, and it's not intimidating? How far away from that do you think we are?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough question. It's a really hard question to answer because there is so much you have to understand when you go down the rabbit hole. I mean, that first time you do a transaction, you go to Kraken or Coinbase and you go and buy a bit of Bitcoin, you transfer it. You kind of like, okay, I paid X dollars and I got X much of this. Okay. And then you move it. It's kind of like, oh, wow, that was cool. I moved it. And then I guess it's really easy at that point. You know how an address works. You know how to move it. But I think you need to understand how you want to use Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want to save it? Do you want to spend it? If you spend it, do you want to top back up? So I think one of the most important things isn't always the UX. It's understand the economics of it as well. But I honestly don't know when it'll be complete. I mean, I guess it's pretty usable now. It depends how far down the rabbit hole you want people to go as well. Like if you want them to use Tor and CoinJoin and run a node, then no, I think we're way off.
Yeah,
I just don't. I'm pissing off a lot of people by saying it. I piss off people all the time, but I'm saying it by just saying, look, you're what fucking planet do you live on? Like it's hard enough to go down and go and have a pint with a mate and say, listen, I think you should get into Bitcoin. They're like, why? I was like, well, it's the future of money. Well, why? I was like, well, because governments are bad and they print loads of it, so it's going to be worth nothing. And, one day they might steal it all. And they're like, nah, well, they didn't steal it last week. And I don't think they could steal it next week. And then what will happen, it will go up and they'll see it in the news. So then they'll FOMO in. To then try and get them to go, right, well, by the way, to be really self-sovereign, you need to get a node. And you need to link that to Tor because you want to protect your privacy. And you want to use CoinJoin because you want to mix your coins. It's just like, it's not going to happen. I reckon, oh God, I'd guess this is a stupid number just out there, but maybe like 1 in 10,000 people will do all of that. There's probably like a handful of people that are all on Twitter doing that. The majority of people are gonna buy it, hopefully take it off the exchange, hopefully have a hardware wallet, but I think a lot of people will just fuck it up or just not care enough, and we can teach them till we're blue in the face. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think a large percentage
people don't care to do all that. No one cares to do all that.
It's too much. It's a lot of steps. But like Ben, what we were talking about the other day, like with this Pepcoin, Peter, I don't know if you've seen this, like on chip bags and sodas and all this stuff here in the States. Pepsi's got this new thing called Pepcoin. Now, it's not an actual cryptocurrency, but what it does is that it's teaching people kind of this whole tokenized economy thing. So it's the word we used was grooming. Maybe we're saying paving the way. It's desensitizing people to the notion of, hey, and I believe this is purely generational. Obviously, for older people in the world, they're not going to get it as much as we get it. Younger people, they're growing up in a digital world, so it only makes sense to have digital money. It just makes sense. So as we continue to advance the technology and make things easier, hopefully, we're gonna get more people to jump in, but not until, like we all say, until it's easier. And it's it's not the buying it. It's it's the storing it. It's the saving the seed phrase. It's like, oh, if I lose my paper wallet, how am I going to get it back? Because how many million Bitcoin have already been lost?
I know, man. I mean, I think you can take people in stages, right? You can just say to them, just get it off an exchange. Just get a hardware wallet and store it. Oh yeah, and once you've got the hardware wallet, you need to store your seed, and you need to store it in a couple of safe places. I think you can get people into those basic steps quite a lot. I think it's the more advanced stuff. I just think people will really struggle. I just really do. And I think people underestimate how much is involved in this. So therefore, what is the goal? Now, one of the interesting questions I want to ask people right now is like, is the goal to take down the banks, and have this entire new financial system? If it is, well, there's got to be some trade-offs. You've got to accept people are not going to do exactly what you want.
Yeah, if XRP will have to go away too, because that's the point of XRP.
Or is the goal to create this kind of financial network that anyone can use, and it's kind of like this underground thing, and it won't go completely mainstream, but if that's the case, then fine. Cool, you can create an army of like badass cypherpunks who are going to do everything in the right way, and they're going to understand about protecting their privacy and running a node. I still think it'll be a minority of the network, but that's it. It's like, which one do you want? I don't think both can coexist as a short-term objective. It's kind of one or the other.
Yeah. So when people attacked you for not having your own node, that was probably the nerdiest thing I've ever seen on crypto Twitter, which is saying so much. So recently, for Christmas, my mom told me on Christmas Day, she said, I've got a great surprise for you and your brother. I was like, okay, awesome. So we, our families, after we, did Santa Claus and things like here, that at our houses on Christmas morning, we all went over to my family's house, and my mom, had this present for us. And we're like, oh yeah, cool. We're so excited. And we opened it up, and it was all of the Ninja Turtle action figures from when we were kids. Now, it wasn't the ones that we had. We used to have every one. We were 7, 8 years old. And my mom, she worked 2 jobs. She did everything she could. So one Christmas, she could surprise us with all the Ninja Turtles. And we were just so over the moon. But over time, they got broken. We lost them. We grew into teenagers, yada, yada, yada. But my mom had found a guy or a lady on Facebook that was selling the entire collection. They've been
that's fucking cool.
They had not been played with, or they had been played with. They weren't brand new in the packages or whatever. It was a nostalgic. She wanted shoes. Man, this is incredible. Check these out. We said, how did you get these? She said, well, the lady posted them on the Facebook Marketplace and said that her 35-year-old son would not leave the house and had not had a job. And all he did was play with his toys and his comic books. Yeah. Obsessed with this stuff, and said he never left the house and he would not get off the couch. So she decided to steal all of his toys and sell them. And that's how he got them. These are the people making fun of you for not having a node.
Look, dude, I know. Listen, look, most of the people I've met a lot of people online from Twitter, and then I've met them in person, and the whole interaction is very different. It's very different. But most of the time, there's a lot of people who are very vocal and they're very animated about what their expectations are, but they have zero, almost no understanding of UX and the reality of what people do. I constantly get the whole, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot because you haven't got a node," or "You're a fucking idiot because you're not technical." And I'm like, the whole idea of the show was, when I first got into it, it was very intimidating. There's so much to learn. I kind of didn't want to learn it all. I wanted to know the basics, and I wanted to make a show for people like me. And then they're like, "You're a fucking idiot," and I'm like, well, there are a lot of people like me who probably need the content like this, and perhaps maybe that's why, I don't know. I don't know what the full numbers are, but I'm guessing mine is like the biggest Bitcoin show, or one of the biggest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's obviously an audience for it. If 300,000 people are downloading it a month, they're downloading it because they like it and they enjoy the content. And also, I get all the DMs, and I should probably just screen grab them all day. There's, hundreds, maybe thousands of times people have written to me and said, "Thank you. I really appreciate your approach. You're asking the questions I want to ask." Now, for any of those people, if I really wanted to set up a node, I can figure it out, right? I figured out how to edit a podcast. I downloaded Audacity. I learned to use Audacity. I learned to use recording equipment. I built my website. I learned SEO. I can figure out how to run a fucking node, but I'm not helping anyone by just saying that. I think I'm helping people more by saying, "Well, this is a bit complicated. I'm not sure I want to do it." And kind of raising the issues to make a conversation around it. And then maybe people will understand why other people won't do it or make it easier. But it's just, honestly, it's just mind numbing that people have such a gap between what they think people know and what people actually know. It's look, it is what it is. You can't make content without having haters. I'm sure you have your own haters at times.
Speaking of haters and people not knowing but need to know, something I want to talk to you about. This was something that happened a few weeks ago. You got to debate Richard Hart about his Hex program.
Yes. So that wasn't an interview. That wasn't an interview.
I guess it was more of a debate. You're right. And in that, if you haven't listened, you should go listen, because it's just hilarious. The guy's clearly, and we've reached out to him to have him on the show to talk to him, but he's unresponsive. So piss off, Richard.
He's probably exited now.
Well, there was just yesterday, there was a story that said all the ETH has been moved.
It was moved.
Oh, that from
it went sub Satoshi, didn't it?
Yeah, that's from Bryce Wiener.
What a wiener.
That was from you. Well, just a bit of a hypocrite, I think. He's hardly got a clean track record. But yeah, I mean, I saw it. Look, it's so fucking obvious what's going to happen. I've still got people messaging me saying, "You're so unprofessional. You're meant to be a journalist, and you didn't debate him, and you were saying bad words to him." And I was like, "Yeah, I did. Of course, I fucking did. This is moronic. I'm not going to debate something that's so stupid." What actually happened was, I watched the one with Stefan Livera the day before, and I watched him just talking over Stefan. And when Stefan had a good point, he would. So Richard, people think he's a good debater. No, he's a disingenuous debater, because what he'll do is he will change the point when you're right. He will talk over you. He essentially bully interviews, right? And it's bullshit. And so I thought, right, I'll go on, and I just won't allow him to debate it. I'm just not going to debate it. I'm just say, "You're a scammer, over and over again. Like, you're a scammer." And when he wants to talk about something else, I'll go, "No, because you're a scammer." And that's all I wanted people to see. If somebody, and you had people going, "Well, I think because people will have seen that, they will have bought it because of that." I was like, well, they're fucking idiots. Not because they should believe me, but they should see enough in that to go, I should do some research on this. Now, whether it's a scam or not is a different thing, right? Like, what actually defines legally what a scam is? What it definitely is shady as fuck. It definitely was a way for, when he first came out and he said, "Oh, it's just going to be a free airdrop for people who've got Bitcoin." Oh, and then later on, it's, "Well, if you do want to buy some, you can. It's this. Oh, by the way, it's designed to pump and it can 10,000x, blah, blah, blah." I mean, if it's not illegal, it's shady as fuck. He's essentially a thief. He's a piece of shit. And anyone who's given him the time all day or saying it deserves debating are fucking morons.
Well, here's my question, because I definitely align with basically your mindset on Hex. The question that I wonder about is, is he intentionally trying to steal from people, or is he delusional?
No, it's intentional. No, he knows what he's doing. I mean, yeah, well, again, I can't say for certain, but you only have to Google his name and go and look at his past to realize he has a very shady past. He's done a lot of shady things. You know, he's not the most, shall we say, honest gentleman there is. And I suspect he lost loads of money in the bull run. I'm going to guess he was leveraged long. He thought Bitcoin was going to go higher. He got trapped like so many people did. I think he absolutely got wrecked. And I wouldn't say he's probably broke, but I reckon he wants a good standard of living. He's like, well, do you know what? I can create this. I've got an audience. I can convince them. And some people invest some money and fuck it. I'll walk away with that money.
$4 million later, there he goes.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's all. I wonder if that's all of him. Like, other people. I wonder if he kind of figured a way of putting some of his own money in that. I don't know. I would be surprised if people put $4 million into this.
I would not.
Like, really,
I would not at all. There was just a post on Twitter today about a guy who did a paid group and got $1 million in a few months from people and just totally exit scammed. You know, like how in the world can these people just pop up overnight and they get $1 million? And that's why I believe, and I can tell you, like, I had people on Instagram that I know that are not like, you know, that they're not probably the most super technical people or people that understand crypto the best, but they're in crypto. And they were telling me how I had to get in on this thing with Richard Hart. Like, oh man, you got to do a video about this. This is going to be huge. I'm getting in on it. You know, I'm doing this airdrop. And I was like, that doesn't, I know I was never going to send any money to it. I know that. Of
course not.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be fucking brain dead to think, to think this is worth it. And some people did. I'm like, God. Do you know what it is? I'll tell you what's funny. I remember when I first got into crypto and bought some Bitcoin, bought some Ethereum, then bought fucking everything. Bought Dash, Monero, literally everything. And I was like, wow, like I have a certain amount of sympathy for people who believe in a blockchain world because I wasn't thinking I'm scamming people. I was like, oh, this makes sense. We're going to have a betting market with Augur. Oh, we've got a privacy coin with Monero. We've got Bitcoin Silver. We're like those early days, I was convinced, okay? And I invested in all of it and I was making money. I was like, this is the world that's coming. Like, I got it, right? And then over time, I was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. I've got no reason to use this. No one's using this. The UX is terrible. Oh, yeah, this is all bullshit. So, but when I was convinced, I used to get into debates. I used to have like OGs saying, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? Like, no patience at all with me. Just literally no patience. Why are you interviewing scammers? Why are you giving a platform for scammers? It's like, I just want to learn. I think there's something here. I'm now there, like, we're talking, 3 years on? And I'm now there going, yeah, it's all fucking bullshit. And I'm like running out of patience with people. And I'm just telling people they're idiots because I just can't be fucking bothered now.
No,
and
but that's what's holding the space back too, is all the scams, you know, all this stuff. I mean, people aren't going to jump in when they know that. I mean, there are just clear scams happening left and right. I mean, it's
all over the shop,
all over the garage here,
all over the garage. Yeah, it is a shame, and also I don't think it's helpful to call every single thing a scam.
It is not at all.
I think you can grade it. I think you can have outright scams. You can have blockchain scams, like outright scams, something like OneCoin. Then you can have blockchain scams, something like BitConnect. And then I think you can have just really, really dumb ideas, like really stupid ideas, whereby someone's like, like potatoes on the blockchain or some fucking bullshit, where it's just like, you don't need
bananas on the blockchain. That's a real thing.
Bananas on the blockchain. It just doesn't. That's stupid. And then I think you've got a few things where it's like, okay, do I honestly think these people are 100% trying to scam people? No. Is the idea going to work? Probably not. But is it an outright scam? I don't think it is. I think it's more helpful to separate them, so at least people know what they're looking at.
Yeah, and people like Tone Vase, for instance, that basically calls everything a scam that's not Bitcoin. Like, I like Tone. I've met him. I'm not saying anything bad about him as a person, but I don't feel like that's helpful because that really just makes people think that all of crypto is a scam, because let's face it, Bitcoin is like 0.001% of all the coins out there. However, we know the market cap, obviously it's about 68%, But in my opinion, that's not doing anybody favors. And when you look at like, okay, let's say 99% of all blockchain coins, let's say they fail. Okay, 99%. That's only 9% more than any other startup in the world. 90% of startups, 90% of businesses fail. Just because they're a failing business does not mean they're a scam. And when we use the word scam to just blanket so much stuff, it's so confusing, and it creates this echo chamber. Especially like I did a video yesterday about altcoins on my channel, and I believe that we are heading back towards altcoins going back up. If you look at the every altcoin season we've ever had has followed a similar pattern. But the problem is they're quick bursts. So by the time that people get real excited about them, it's already over. It happens so fast. And a lot of these people that are just calling everything scams, that's not going to play well when the market goes back up. I was able to pull up a bunch of articles that look as silly as the guy that said the internet wasn't going to work from 2016 when people said altcoins will never, ever, ever do well. And then we saw what they did. And some of those coins are significant. Ethereum, XRP, whether you like it or not, Stellar, Litecoin. These have significant market caps, some in the billions.
Yeah, but I think it's meaningless. I think a lot of them got really low liquidity. And the main issue is use case. Like, who's using any of this? I think there is a small argument that I think there's a fair argument that people are using Ethereum, right? That people are definitely using that. I think, what are they using it for? Is it compound finance or Uniswap or whatever these things I hear about? And ultimately, can it scale? And I think all the evidence leads to it's got real scaling problems ahead. Augur, is anyone using Augur? Is anyone using 0x? Like, what is the viability of these projects?
People aren't using 0x anymore because all the main tokens have moved off of Ethereum.
Well, but my point being is, like, is anyone using any of this shit? And I think...
But here's the thing. I think it boils down to, do you believe that blockchain and tokenization is going to have as big of an impact on the world as the internet? And if you believe yes, then you probably believe in the full tokenization of the world in the future. And if that's the case, then it makes sense that we will have multiples. I've said many times, I believe when you talk about projects that are terrible ideas like bananas on the blockchain or potatoes, as you said, I agree with you. They sound terrible. However, a lot of these projects, in my opinion, are just way ahead of their time. Eventually, all that stuff will happen. When you look back at the internet, I talk about this all the time. Look at Webvan. Webvan was so far ahead of its time that it completely failed. And yet
why did Webvan fail?
This week, I've used 2 different grocery delivery services,
Yeah, but why did Webvan fail?
Because there wasn't the demand for it at the time.
Yeah, but it could have succeeded. The main reason it failed is it scaled before it had customers. It had customers. It just, by the time it built out its service, it didn't have enough customers to cover its costs. Was it like 800 million they raised or something crazy?
Yeah.
The thing is, one of the problems with these things is, like, what happened to bootstrapping? What happened to angel rounds and then a Series A? Like, what these people essentially did, a lot of these blockchains did, they did an IPO before they had a product. And now they can't get the traction of, like, the most basic startup. There's no traction there. So that's going to be the main problem, is that where's the traction? Where's the need? Because you got to say, why do you want a blockchain? Well, you want to decentralize something. Well, what do you want to decentralize? Well, I want to decentralize money. Why? Well, the government fucks with us and they steal it from us. Okay, that makes sense. What else do you want to decentralize? I want to decentralize Twitter. Why? Because they ban people. Well, yeah, but you can start another account and no one really uses it and it's got critical mass. Okay, yeah, so that's not going to work. What else do you want to decentralize? Gambling? No, works. Like, so many things work perfectly well centralized. Why do you need to decentralize it? You don't need a decentralized Uber. You can put together a logical reason why it'd be better, but can you build it out so it's actually truly decentralized and that it's so for example, if you put Uber on the fucking blockchain, like, how do you run customer service? Like, you've got to have some things that are centralized, and that, maybe that's annoying, but that's what it is. Like, what do you need to decentralize? For me, I've heard very, very few arguments beyond money that make any sense. Yeah, maybe land registry, but I reckon you can do that in a database anyway. So maybe you'll tokenize shares, maybe. But I just think it's a solution trying to find a problem, and no one's made it fit. And I think there's a reason why.
What do you think? Actually, since we've just been talking, John McAfee just posted something about tokenizing on the blockchain the members of Congress, all of the money that they get, whether it's their salary, donations, contributions, all that stuff. What do you think about something like that, tokenizing the government so that we as citizens can see exactly what's going on?
Well, I think right now crypto needs two things. It needs Bitcoin and it needs a stable coin. I mean, you can have multiple stable coins, but that's all it needs, right? So for me, for example, if you want to bank the unbanked, I have to have a bank account because I have to have pounds.
Right.
But I could get away with not having a bank account if I had a wallet which was Bitcoin and a stable coin, and I know I would kind of use different levers for them at different points. So what do you actually tokenize? Are you tokenizing them, or are you just creating a ledger which tracks where the donations they receive go? I'm pretty sure you could do that without a blockchain. I'm pretty sure you could just create a process where you have to track everything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, so what is it we're trying to do here? We're trying to create an audit. Well, what about this? What about, is there an official process they have to go through for it to be logged? Well, if there's an official process for it to be logged, that can go into a database. It doesn't need a blockchain to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good point.
I just think when it comes to decentralization, I feel like decentralization is very important. I feel like we're still, like, people neglect this fact. The internet is still in the days of the wild, wild west. People want to say crypto is wild, wild west. The internet is still only 25, 30 years old as we know it. That's so new, like a baby. Imagine cars when cars were 25 to 30 years old compared to where we are now. Like, it's so drastically different. Now, I feel like the internet is that way. So we're still in a place where like YouTube pops up and everybody realizes, like, wow, I can have my own platform. I can have my own voice. I can make my own videos. And everybody they go through a honeymoon phase, or we've been through a honeymoon phase with YouTube, where it's like, oh, this is great. This is novel. I want to get my voice out. And then what happens? The corporate structure of Google, obviously they bought YouTube at some point, and then the corporate structure of Google adds censorship, demonetizes people, starts making people angry. And now people are starting to realize that in this kind of like gig economy that we have, where people can have platforms everywhere, and we don't necessarily need someone else behind what we're doing as work. Like, I don't need to work at a company to go on Fiverr and to sell graphic design. I just think that the internet in general is moving to a much more decentralized place where people are realizing that we have power. So you're right. All of these things, they've worked fine in a centralized manner since we've had the internet. But I don't believe that's the future of where we're going. And if it is, then that's a totalitarian future that I don't want to head towards. I would much rather move towards a place where people have more power. So do we need to tokenize people on, congressmen on the blockchain? Probably not. But do we need to have censorship resistant platforms where people can get their voice out and not have to worry about all of a sudden Google decides that, here's something crazy I've thought about in videos. Like, if you say the word miner, like crypto mining, like, what if the YouTube algorithm reads that as minor, MINOR, and now all of a sudden, because of COPPA, they want to ban your video? Like, there's all kinds of things that those places can do to really exert their power and control. And they can do a lot of things veiled in camouflage, like what their true motives might be. So to me personally, like, yes, we're not there. We don't need everything on the blockchain right now. We don't need everything decentralized. It works, but over time, I think people are going to get more behind that idea. I think we're seeing it.
Maybe, but you don't need a token. Like BitTorrent did. BitTorrent survived for years, but till Trump bought it, gave it a token. You didn't need a token. It worked fine. You can build these things decentralized. They don't need tokens. I think the main problem is trying to turn everything into money. There's this like weird incentive structure to make everything money, because it makes people fucking rich. People have got rich. People have become billionaires off this, like billionaires.
And then back to hundredaires.
Yeah, God, well, life sucks at that point.
Yeah, well,
but
I wasn't even alluding to you, but yeah, of course you went through that as well.
Yeah, like that's 95% of people went through that. Did you have a big drawdown?
Yeah, we all did. Yeah, we
all did. Everyone did. And you know, it's funny. You get the fuckers. They come at me. They start swinging at me. Aren't you the idiot who like went up to 1.2 million and lost it? I was like, yeah. So probably my proportions are exactly the same as you. My drawdown's about the same. What's your fucking point?
Yeah, right.
Like, there's like 5 people who made money.
None of us thought in 2017 that it was going to crash like it did. Like, it was just. No. I mean, that's the euphoria of the bull market, right? I mean, there were
it's gonna go on forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just Charlie Lee. He's the only one.
Diversify your assets, and then all of a sudden you're down 95%.
Yeah.
Yeah, more tokens. Right, that's the
Peter-
bottom. No, that's the bottom. No, that's the bottom. Where's the fucking bottom?
Always looking for it. Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast today.
All right, man.
Talking
Loved
to you. If you could, tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, I've got 2 podcasts. One's called What Bitcoin Did. It's all about Bitcoin. I've got another show called Defiance, which is a bit more kind of political, activist kind of stuff. You can find me on Twitter at Peter McCormack, or just Google What Bitcoin Did or What Bitcoin Did or Defiance. Thanks for having me on, guys. When will we hang out in person next?
Maybe
consensus?
consensus? Probably, yeah.
Is that the next time? Is that the next time you're coming to the States?
I might be over in February. I don't think I'll be in Atlanta. Where are you?
Austin, Texas.
I'm in Austin all the fucking time. I was in Austin like 2 weeks ago, dude. Like 3 weeks ago. I've been in Austin. I was in there in December and I was in November.
Well,
if I'm coming over in February, it will probably be Austin.
Awesome. Hit me up.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Peter, we will catch you on the next time we see you. Thanks for joining the show.
Cool. All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, man.